The All-Star break has come and gone, and your New York Mets are the third wild card team in the National League right now. We will react to the first half, to the All-Star break, look ahead to the second half as the trade deadline is just 2 weeks away. What will the Mets do? To do all that, it'll be an amazing but true podcast reunion. As my former co-host and co-host of Pix 11's New York Sports Nation Nightly, former Mets pitcher Nelson Figueroa will join us on this week's episode of the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic. Let's do it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Mets Magic with Jake Brown.
And it's in there, strike three called. The Mets win the pennant. The New York Mets have won the National League pennant. Put it in the books. The New York Mets, for the first time in 15 years, are champions of the National League.
The sickest New York Mets podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome back to the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic. I'm your host, Jake Brown. Make sure you are subscribed to the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic. And listen wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. Give us a 5-star rating. Write a nice review. If you're watching on YouTube, please smash that thumbs up button. Share it with your friends. Comment below how you're feeling about the Mets. What do you want to see them do here before the trade deadline? Just 2 weeks away. You can follow me on Twitter, X, social media, whatever, at Jake Brown Radio, and follow the podcast on X at SickPodMets. Well, the All-Star break is over. Been dying here without baseball here. No game. Monday's the Derby. Alonso sucked, did nothing. Tuesday, Alonso doesn't do anything in the All-Star game. The American League wins the game. Wednesday, there's no games. Thursday, there's no games. But tomorrow, July 19th, the Mets will be back in the field to face the Marlins down in South Beach. The Mets will take their talents to South Beach. And beginning the second half of the season, which is always strange to me because there's 67 games left. There's not 81. So it's a little bit past the first half point. I think they should, in the future, move the All-Star game up, get it around the 81 game mark. So it's half and half. Make it even. And also, stop with these uniforms. I know it's a play to sell more jerseys in different colors. Those were ugly. Like, those were minor league-esque, terrible kind of uniforms. And a lot of these guys, the average fan watching may not know. So they may not know it's Seth Lugo on the Royals. So why not put him in a Royals jersey? So it's like, oh, okay, he plays for the Royals. Now these funky colors, like, who does this guy play for? So I think we're going to get back to that because I think it got a lot of backlash. But this is the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic. I am Jake Brown, and I'm the former host of Amazing But True with the New York Post. And every month, I like to have a reunion with my old co-host, and that's Nelson Figueroa, who joins me now. He is the co-host of New York Sports Nation Nightly on Pix 11, 7 to 7:30 p.m. with Mark Malusis, former Mets pitcher. What is that face you're making at me?
You said old. You said old co-host. Not
Oh,
old.
yeah. You are me. You're former.
Former.
And old. You are in your 50s now. You're 50, right? It was a big 5-0.
50, yeah. Big
Yeah,
5-0.
last time you were on, I told you I discovered because Gary Cohen said it and I completely forgot. But in the 50s, yeah, it's a new era for you. And, it's been a new era for the Mets, Figgy, who have, the last time we talked, they had turned their season around, but they were not the wild card team. They were still chasing teams. Now they're cemented in the third seed. They're a game up, Figgy. Like, this is a brand new season for the 49 and 46 Mets. 67 games to go. The journey begins tomorrow, and they've saved the summer. OMG saved the summer, and, we'll do a translation later in the program for the Spanish Academy. But this has been must-see baseball, and, every night you got to lock in or at least see what's going on. See how many hits Jose Iglesias has that night. He's been like a 3-hit machine. See how deep a starter goes in. See if Jeff McNeil got a hit for once. They've overcome a lot of adversity to get to this point, but here we are, July 18th, and the Mets are in the thick of a playoff race. It's been fun.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. And I think if you just look at when they were at the low water mark, right? 11 games under dead in the water. Everybody said, wow, even players on their own team are giving up on them when we had the whole fiasco with Lopez. And then the players only meeting gets them back on track. OMG gets called up alongside Candelita. It has been a very memorable summer, but I don't want this to have been the highlights already, right? It can only get better. It has to only get better.
And I feel like we've seen times right after the All-Star break where they have been bad. Like they go on a couple weeks stretch where it might change their deadline plans. And we saw it last year where the team was hovering around 500, but they were kind of out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
that can't happen. You're right. Like these next 2 weeks, they can't be under 500 and then are sellers. And then it's like, what happened to the OMG Candelita Mets?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I think the next 6 games will determine if they are buyers or sellers. If they can come out of the gate and win out the first 4 out of 6, which is very capable of doing, if they can split with the Yankees, win 3 out of 4 with the Marlins, then that makes this front office, it's all on them. The players have done all that they could. The team has done all that they could. The vibe in Queens is this team is good enough. We are good enough. And I think that's one of the things that last year was kind of a wait and see approach, right? You place all the onus on Buck Showalter, on the veterans figuring it out, the injuries that had mounted up, you had the suspensions, you had everything could go wrong, did go wrong. And it just didn't seem like it was going to be right. And I laughed because remember we talk about Billy Epler, where he quoted himself as saying, Fangraphs only gives us a 12% chance of making the playoffs, so we're sellers. Right? Well, at the low water mark of 11% or 11 games under, they were less than 3% of a chance of making the playoffs. And because the front offices have banked on that and said, we're going to be sellers? No, they put the onus on the team. The team put the onus on themselves. The accountability was inside that locker room meeting. And what they say, we can't play any worse. Let's go out there and have fun. And we have never seen this much fun, especially only a half season worth. We had the 5 days of Flushing. We always go back to that, right? One of the most fun times ever in Mets history. Think about what we're watching right now. We haven't seen the best of Pete Alonso yet. We haven't seen the best of Lindor. We see a better version of Lindor now, better version of Nimmo. Alvarez, if he can stay healthy, when the team, he's like OG Anunoby for the Knicks. When he's on the field with this team, look at the record, right? Mm-hmm. So Alvarez is a big X factor. We said that going into the season, right?
And we also haven't seen his power. I mean, where is his power? I know he's hitting around 300, but if he gets his power on, good God, this lineup is scary. And JD Martinez, he's been incredible. We love him, but he's in a rough streak right now. Like you got streaky JD, you got Alvarez not hitting for power. Lindor, I think, has been good. I think you're not giving him enough credit, but still, he's not the superstar Lindor level.
No. Let me make that very clear. Lindor is still playing on an all-star level. And I'm not saying superstar, but this isn't the best of like, oh my God, this is his best season ever. No, it's not even close. Last year, he had more home runs right-handed, almost matched his left-handed home run numbers for the first time in his career. So we've seen the best of his swings kind of last year where he was the 30-30 guy, right? 100 RBIs, just really was the kind of player that they paid for, that contract. And beyond the contract, we know the value that Lindor brings to this team. And what you're seeing right now is the vibe is more of a Lindor vibe. The vibe is more of we're all in this. We're an underdog. Everybody counts us out. Lindor says it all the time. People don't think he's a superstar. People don't think he's a star player. People didn't think he deserved the contract. He's been the underdog forever. And he says, you know what? Prove him wrong. Let's prove him wrong. So let's slap him right in the ass every time we get a hit. And that's what they've been doing. So I love the vibe around this team. I love the fact that even, Carlos Mendoza is a first-year manager. We didn't know what to expect. No one ever heard him speak before, let alone what was he going to do with the New York media when they were 11 games under. He didn't panic. He said, we have to figure some things out. We have to play better baseball. Some of his catchphrases, right? We've had some conversations. It's no secret. You always hear him say, it's no secret. You have to play better to win. And they have. And they continue to do so. So now the onus is on the front office to match that vibe. And what have we seen for the first time ever? What did Brandon Nimmo, of all people, said? We need to be buyers, right? He went
And
out
that's why
publicly.
I think it's going to be a bad look. You know, we talk about them trading a starter. Kodai Senga, by the way, will make one more AAA start, and then he'll be back with the team most likely against the Braves next weekend in a huge series where the Mets could catch the Braves for that top wild card. But that's a bad look if they, Severino's been a name that floated out there. I always say he's the OMG side. He's like the sign guy.
Yeah.
Like he's holding up the sign.
Yeah.
Like the message you send if you even trade one player. I think the one guy figure you get away with if you trade, you're fine. Well, Jeff McNeil's one. I just don't know who want him. But Quintana, I think when you have, a lefty pitching well like Peterson, you have Manaea pitching well. I would not trade Manaea. I know he's another name. He's been fantastic. He'll make the start Friday. That's the only starter we know as of now. Starting the second half is Manaea tomorrow. But outside of that, Quintana's the one guy you trade. I don't think it shakes up the locker room. But trade Alonso, I think that shakes up the locker room a bit. Trade Severino, shake up. Manaea, I think, is a very well-liked guy. And I'm not saying Quintana's not well-liked, but if you trade the worst starting pitcher of those guys, you can still live with it and go on a run. You get Senga back. But otherwise,
wait.
I would.
Did you say Quintana's the worst starting pitcher?
Of the guys that they've not, including McGill.
Quintana last 6 starts up until the last start. Yeah. So the 5 starts before that, he was pitching to a 1.6.
But overall on the season, I'm saying he has been the worst of the bunch. Not saying he's bad. He's just of the bunch. That's how good they've been, is that he's been the worst. I still don't think you should trade any of the guys of big league team that aren't DJ Stewart or Jeff McNeil, but you can still go on a push if you were to trade a guy like Quintana. Are you in the camp of let's keep all our big league guys and, if we do get these bullpen arms, make sure it's no one other than Stewart, McNeil, or a prospect?
Yes, I am of the ilk that honestly, you've liked what you've seen from these players, from a Severino, from a Manaea. Manaea, remember, has an opt-out. It's a 1 and an opt-out. So I think Manaea has liked what he's seen from this team. He's liked the vibe from this team. He needs to, it's up to him to buy back in. I don't know if I'm trading anybody. Honestly, I think you don't want to mess with it. You can't trade starting pitching. How fragile is it? Like one guy goes down and now you're back going, oh, I wish we had him still for what? To get a couple prospects? We have prospects. We have a multitude of we haven't seen any of the damn prospects that we traded everybody away for. So let's not be in a rush to just stockpile more prospects when you're on a team that can find a way to make a run. The Philadelphia Phillies had done it just 2 years ago. The Nationals turned their season around and wound up going all the way to the World Series championship on the back of Baby Shark. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And it was a Venezuelan player who it was Parra. It wasn't a big player. It wasn't a superstar player. It wasn't Bryce Harper. It was Parra and Baby Shark that World Series is known for. Okay, so that
and even with the Mets, it was getting Uribe and Kelly Johnson. It wasn't world beaters, but they were solid role players.
That what they did was they reinforcements the weakest link. It wasn't what the lineup was. It was the weakest link, the depth that they didn't have, the bench pieces, the guys that they could count on who've done it time and time again, who had playoff experience. You were adding people with playoff experience to a team that at the time didn't have any playoff aspirations, but all of a sudden, over the course of a week, 5 days of Flushing, turned that all around. And Cespedes just, he went ham. And would we love to see Pete Alonso go ham in the second half? Absolutely. Is he capable of doing it? 1,000%. So I'm more than excited for what's going to transpire in the second half. I think if you're looking at anything, bullpen arms, and I'm going and giving away prospects. I'm trading prospects. If you're getting rentals, you don't have to go to those main prospects. If you're getting rentals, right? So
I don't think it would take an Alex Ramirez. The number one name on my list, Figgy, is Tanner Scott. I think Jake Diekman has just been atrocious.
Yeah.
And that's a guy like you don't have to trade. Just cut him. Like Jake Diekman, Adam Ottavino, DJ Stewart are the 3 names on my list. Get them off this roster. If you want to maximize the 25 best guys, they are not one of them. And I think Jose Buto has done enough to be a mainstay in this bullpen. He's been great. you're adding like minor arms here that might help. I don't think the Mets should overlook, because a lot of people probably overlooked Jose Iglesias, and he's saved the season. A guy like who they just picked up, and lefty Alex Young off waivers from the Giants, a guy who's had a solid big league career the last couple of years. He only pitched a couple innings this year, hasn't given him a run. A guy like a Gage who they picked up, another lefty who's had a solid big league career. A guy like Shintaro Fujinami, who was a flyer that they took, who's finally on his way back here. He has looked pretty good in AAA, and if his stuff is there, Figgy, his command is there. We know he can light up the gun with 101 miles an hour. You have Fujinami, Alex Young, Gage. So there's no reason on August 1st, really July 19th even, that Adam Ottavino or Jake Diekman or DJ Stewart should be on this roster. DJ Stewart has options, so that blows my mind that he's still here. Give Acuna a shot. So you want to go all in on a run here, and this has been fun. The Mets have to maximize the entire roster. Is it 26 or 25? It's 26, guys.
26.
26. 1 of 26. You need to maximize all 26, and there's 3 or 4 spots that they're not maximizing. And if they want to be a playoff team, they need to cut bait with the guys who are losers and bring in winners.
No, I get where you're at. And again, you said it very eloquently about the moves that they have made. You're telling me the Pirates, Aroldis Chapman, you wouldn't want to have Aroldis Chapman?
No. Chapman is not.
You would want to have Aroldis Chapman as a lefty. You're going with Gage because he had a how many good minutes?
No. I'm going with Tanner Scott. The guy's got a 1.4 ERA. He's dominating. I know he's inside the division, but he's a rental. I can't see him costing the Mets a high level prospect. He might be 2 mid-level prospects. Tanner Scott.
I don't know.
You think he'll cost a lot? I mean, he's on a team 30 games under in last place, and I know they're in the division, so maybe it'll cost the Mets a little bit more. But 1.34 ERA, 40 innings, 45 strikeouts. He has been arguably the best reliever in the league this year, Tanner Scott.
Oh no, he's been fantastic. He's been lights out. But remember, how many teams are in playoff contention right now?
Everyone's going to be going for him. Everybody's
going to be going for him. So if my fallback happens to be Aroldis Chapman, who again I feel like he's a guy that would fit. A guy that is still throwing 102 miles an hour, a guy that still can pitch at a very high level.
I'll pass.
Nah, I don't know how
he
would
makes
pass.
You sweat. Look what he's done against the Mets. He's been terrible. I don't want Chapman. I don't want Chapman.
Against the Mets, but check about everybody else.
He's fondling his mother's titties on Instagram. Like, that is already unacceptable that he would do that. But on top of that, he's a headache, and like he's got a rough pass. Like of all the names, I'm shocked that that's the first one you're telling me the Mets should go after.
I wanted them to sign him in the offseason to pair him up with Edwin Diaz. I wanted him in the offseason. I think he would be tremendous.
Estevez from the Angels is one that I'm have my eye on. The Angels, the Mets have done business many times with the Angels, unless Billy Epler's blackballed them.
I was going to say that was the Epler days.
Billy's like, do not trade him to the Mets. Do not make that stupid team better.
Yeah, there's not a lot of guys that are or teams that are going to be willing to part with pieces like that. I mean, you're looking at the Rockies, you're looking at the Marlins, you're looking at Angels, you're looking at, very few teams that don't think that they can, still contend. And what's it going to cost you? I don't care what it costs me right now. If it's somebody that's going to be under contract for multiple years, more than just a rental, but a rental should get you a mid-level prospect and maybe throw in an arm in there and then say thanks and let's ride out with that guy who's in a contract year.
Estevez is a rental, so he would be 2 months. He's $6.75 million this year, but the Angels are completely out of it. Estevez and Tanner are my top two, and I agree. I think everyone's going to be going for them. Mets have to find a way to blow them away. I think Phil Maton was a great start because you gave up nothing. You just paid him, and he's got good off-speed stuff. He's kind of a different from what they have in terms of off-speed, won't blow you away guy. That's why I think if this combination, if you get Tanner Scott, you have Maton's off-speed stuff, you bring Fujinami up with his gas, you're fooling teams coming to the bullpen. Maybe even McGill becomes a reliever with his 7-pitch. You have a 7-pitch Arsenal guy. You got a nasty curveball Maton. You got 102 from Fujinami. You got 100 with a nasty slider with Diaz. You're mixing and matching different pieces, and you're making us sweat with the Ottavinos and the Diekmans of the world. Even Danny Young has come back down to earth. Reed Garrett has really come down to earth, and now he's hurt. Like, give me a good variety. And, as a bullpen guy, you come – and you can speak to this. You come at teams with different styles and deliveries. You're going to fool a guy in the 8th inning who might have just saw this starting pitcher. If you're like, all right, here's 102 gas. Oh, here's this 82-mile-an-hour curveball from Maton.
Yep. No, without a doubt, and that's what you want to have. You want to have different looks. You need a variety of arm angles and abilities. You don't want to have the same cookie cutter. All three guys that these guys wind up facing in the seventh, eighth, and ninth are all going to be 98 and then 90-mile-an-hour slider. You get to see that enough. You get comfortable with it, and that's what a lot of baseball is. So if you can have the different looks, the different arm angles, the Joe Smith arm angle of the past, with the
love Joe Smith.
You got the sweeper is the new darling dandy of baseball, right? So you got a guy with a good sweeping breaking ball, a la what Maton brings to the table. Those are the kind of guys I think that are going to play because you do have still power arms. Jose Budo, the move to the bullpen could be a godsend for him. He could be a major piece. Nunez has been fantastic.
Yeah, he's been
Nunez has been fantastic. But just if you think about what the Mets have already done with their bullpen in just a half a season, look at how many arms they've gone through. Look at how many guys have been DFA'd. Look at how many guys. So this front office isn't afraid to make a move and say, you know what, whether it worked or it didn't work, we're ready to move on. So I have full confidence in that. I just feel like if they don't back this team and this team comes out of the break and wins 4 out of 6, then it's speaking volumes to what their plan is as far as, just ride the wave and let's see what happens. Or, you know what, let's get a surfboard and ride the same damn waves and let's see if we can go all the way to shore.
I heard surfboard and that song came up, surfboard, ride around. No, right. Was that Beyonce, right? Yeah.
Beyonce.
But that's been what's plagued this team is the bullpen because the lineup has been electric and they've overcome getting almost nothing out of Jeff McNeil. And listen, Jeff McNeil's played 92% of the games this year, 88 and 95. That can't happen with the way Jose Iglesias is hitting. And I get they've been in a tougher spot with Starling Marte now, TBD.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows? Marte might not be back to Labor Day at this point. There's no updates. He's had no baseball activities. And, we know kind of the Starling Marte mantra is he's going to take his sweet old time, I think. And I that's his style. Everyone looks at him as lazy. But, I think if the team's in it and they're winning, he's going to want to be a part of this. I don't think he wants to sit out. And we don't know his body. It's not fair for me to say. But he is going to probably take his time in coming back. But, Marte, as much as we hate his defense, was a big bat in this lineup. And he was hitting really well. And I think Tyrone Taylor has to play. And I get everyone says, you got to play all the guys. I don't think you have to play DJ Stewart. I think that's just you're really wasting a spot. His occasional walk and the metrics and he gets on base. Stop it. He's hitting 5th in the order. I want to see an RBI double. I want to see him knock one over the fence. He's not doing that. So shut up with play the guy. He's on the roster. No, he needs to be off the roster. And we're in July. This, the Stewart thing is odd to me because David Stearns, like we've talked about here in the past, Figgy, has had that cord cut on guys. If they've struggled, he said, you're either getting sent down or you're getting DFA. They've done it. So why aren't they doing it with him is blowing my mind because he's not a financial thing. He's like a $1.5 million. He has options. So you can either cut him, send him down, whatever the roster move is. I really think they have to take advantage of playing all these guys because you never know when the next injury is. And I don't want to see DJ Stewart playing 3 to 4 times a week if Taylor, God forbid, or someone was to get hurt. But the key is here, Iglesias needs to be in every day. I mean, he's hitting 380. He's providing the defense. He's providing the spark off the bench, OMG. Right. It's not just a sideshow. I know someone tweeted about this being a sideshow. He has been the show. He has been and he comes up with clutch hits. Like guys are on base. That's when Candelita thrives. And you're really saying OMG. And he's even hitting home runs. Like there's nothing he's not doing for this team. So I get you're paying McNeil. I get you're trying to raise his trade stock. But an occasional single from Jeff McNeil at this point is not getting you more prospects in a trade in 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think that one of the things that they're seeing is you have to find ways to keep Iglesias in the lineup, whether he's playing second, whether he's playing third. Marte being out, you know what? Then McNeil becomes a platoon player out there. If that's what it comes to be, where it's a lefty, you have Tyrone Taylor out there. If it's a righty, that's the kind of thing that you have to do. Nimmo's going to play every day. Bader has excelled. He's hit more home runs already than he did all last year. And again, he's another guy who's feeding off this vibe and another underdog who's trying to prove himself. So this whole Met roster is kind of built off the same model, the same creed, right? And I think that if you're going to do this, and you do need to get a couple of reinforcements here and there. DJ Stewart thing, like how much does he come into play? Like even the other day when they had a chance, it was a right-handed pitcher against Colorado in that end of that game. They let Taylor hit instead of bringing up DJ Stewart. That was weird to me. Like, why didn't you bring in DJ Stewart to hit at that point?
And that was weird how JD Martinez wasn't ready.
Right.
Like, it's the ninth inning. Was he taking a dump? Like, where was JD Martinez? I was there. I was behind the dugout. I'm like, why? I was yelling. He might have heard. Mendoza might have heard me. He said, "Oh, Jake Brown said pinch hit. Jeff McNeil, JD Martinez. They do it." But like, it took an hour for him to get gloves on. He wasn't ready, and then he didn't really have a good at bat. He struck out on a pitch in the dirt. Like, that was bizarre to me. Like, so there have been some things with Mendoza.
I would have thought he would have hit in that Taylor spot, if anything, right? Let him hit in the Taylor spot, so there's one extra out, instead of.
But Taylor's got some pop where he could knock one over the fence. He's been a little. Taylor defines fourth outfield. He's not an everyday player.
And it was also a right-handed pitcher. So in that case, I would have gone and went, I would gone with DJ Stewart to hit rather than. I would let JD get first crack at that. He can end the ball game with a gapper. So
and that's why it's a waste of a roster spot. If you're not even putting him in that spot, why is he on the roster? I'm curious if that's something they look at here on their trade deadline wish list. Like, if Marte is going to miss a lot of time, Figgy, do they go out and get another fourth outfielder from team? Do they get – because there's not – outside of Acuna, they don't have many options to call up right now. I know Clifford may be down the road, but I don't know if he'll make it this year. They don't have internally many options. Ben Gamel hasn't really shown enough / got enough time.
Doesn't wow you, doesn't jump off the page. How about Tommy Pham coming back?
I don't see. I mean, I would have no problem with it, but I don't see him wanting to come here. Pham should go to a contender. Like, there's no reason for him to rot away with the White Sox. It would be intriguing, but like, think about it. Think of all the guys who are still here that he talked about in their work ethic. Oh, hey, Tommy, welcome back. Like, you crapped all over us. Let's bring you back. I think that would be smart. I would just be shocked if
Are we talking personal or are we talking business? If we're talking business, Tommy Pham gets the job done. Does he not?
Does he not? I'm not against it.
I haven't seen anybody traded more than that damn guy, Tommy Pham. And every time you get him on your team, you're like, love this guy. Love how hard he works. Love how hard he goes at it. You know what I mean? Like, he's a real one. No, he's a real one. Exactly. You gotta watch yourself around him. You're looking to get into a team fight. Remember the '86 style. Good, slide in hard just so Tommy Pham could come running out of the dugout.
I can envision Tommy Pham doing the ass slap celebration. I can't envision Tommy Pham with a smile on his face going, "Oh my God." Like, that will be the back cover of the New York Post.
No smiling for Tommy. No smiling.
Pham goes from, "Hey, this is the least hardworking team," to holding up an OMG sign and go like, I would love it. It would be a Netflix story in the making. I just would be shocked if it happens, but I'm glad you put it out there because I didn't even utter his name because I just don't expect it. But you're right. If guys had on the feelings laws, you should take a flyer at him.
Listen, he's what he brings to the table, man. You know what he brings to the table. He's hungry. He wants to win. I'm not worried about him calling people out. Whoever was called out, look in the mirror because maybe you needed to get called out. It wasn't like he was saying things that weren't true. But again, everybody trains differently. Everybody does things differently. I'm sure he'd get asked about it. It'd take a news cycle, give 48 hours, and then we'd be past it because Tommy Pham says, if you ask me that again, I'll slap you right in the mouth, and then we move on.
Have we confirmed that this – I assume it's slapping. I don't know if it's an ass or a face or a combination. Of
whatever it may be. Listen, picking them up and slapping them. That's what you want to do, right? You want to shake things up. You want to shake people up. You want to, there's a lot of different things to it where
It's worked.
Listen, we've seen a lot of, remember the salt and pepper shaker, the cracking the pepper. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That one was awful. There was a whole bunch of different ones that they've tried over the years. I just think more than Grimace, more than the OMG, these guys are hungry. They play for each other as a team. And it just feels totally different than what the vibe was around last year, because it was really just the focal point was, again, the two Hall of Fame pitchers. They were going to carry us to the promised land. And, I just talked about it with Moose today on WFAN, how much Buck Showalter just didn't have Alvarez's back from the beginning. He kept questioning whether he was even a prospect. I heard he's the number one prospect. I heard he's a superstar in the making, but I haven't seen anything. That's a quote. You can find that quote still. He used to, and that does for a kid, a rookie coming up who's trying to catch two Hall of Famers and the rest of the staff and Diaz and everybody else and trying to fit in and see what he can do. And the manager is on quoted as saying, I don't even know if he's a superstar. He's not even an everyday player yet, kind of thing. So that to me is where the vibe is totally different. These guys are getting to be themselves. They're getting to express themselves. And look, man, it's been fun baseball. It's been fun baseball, and it's been winning baseball. So maybe there's something to it.
Yeah, Memorial Day that week, even June 1st, this was almost an unwatchable team. And our summer was ruined. So thank you to Jose Iglesias, Candelita. Oh, my God, for saving the summer. Thank you to Grimace. First it was we had Seymour Wiener. We had Rally Pimp. We had Candelita OMG. We've had Grimace. And now we have this dog, Glitzy or Glatzy. He just followed me on Twitter I got followed by a dog
what was
the other day.
Hasn't he had like 6 names already, this dog?
Yeah.
What was his name? It was oh my God.
Glizzy Iggy is the name. Glizzy Iggy. And it was National Hot Dog Day yesterday. Yeah. I was in the suite eating a hot dog at the half show of not Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Joey Chest Pup. Joey Chest Pup. That's what they were calling him. Joey Chest Pup.
Yeah, well, now it's Glizzy Iggy. Mila is the name. I don't know if it's Glizzy, if it's Mila, it's Iggy. I guess it's Iggy, and Glizzy is what it eats. Our hot dogs. Are dogs supposed to eat hot dogs? Is that a thing? I'm not a veterinarian.
It's not like a chicken eating chicken, bro.
Yeah, I don't know how it works.
That's cannibalism.
They've had all the rallying cry. What's next? I'm gonna have to show up to the ballpark wearing something and be one of the. I want to be like in the.
You've been waiting for this moment. This could be your moment. This could be the Jake Brown moment. You've got to come up with some kind of shtick. We've seen them being very accepting of the Rally Pimp, Grimace of all things, OMG. You've got to come up with something. You're too talented, too creative, too well liked in the Mets fan circles, to not find something that drives this team wild. And it's not shaving your damn head.
Thank you. I think there's a lot of people that hate me, but I'm well liked by some and well hated by many.
There's strong emotions involved either way.
Yeah, either way, they know who I am, and I'm coming for you. But I was thinking maybe I do this. I wear my Dixie Cup outfit. I don't know how that would be a rallying cry, but I already have it. I got the Dixie Cup pants, the Dixie Cup shirt that's a little bit 2 sizes too big. I've actually been in the gym 4 times a week. So I'm kind of getting buff here. Like if you're watching on video, like the muscles it's coming in there. You see a little complexion.
Okay.
So maybe I Dixie Cup go like this and like, I don't know. I got to think of something. By the way, this is sick podcast, Mets Magic.
When you say gym, you mean gyros, yogurt, and Mediterranean food?
No, I've actually been hitting the fitness center downstairs. Although I'm moving from here, so maybe that ends when I don't have it
in your mouth.
No, yeah, I'm fitting these nuts. No, I've been going. I've been doing a lot of lifting. I did squats yesterday. My legs are hurting today.
Very nice.
This is the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic, Jake Brown, Figueroa. Actually, breaking news into the newsroom here. The schedule for next season has been announced, and finally, they listen to my demands. 2 weekend, 3-game series, Subway Series. Figgy with one of them coming on 4th of July weekend. How about that?
Apple pie Americana.
At Citi Field it is too. It'll be at Citi Field on this is like Christmas, folks. Let me look at the schedule here. Yeah, 4th of July is Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Citi Field, and at Yankee in May. So it'll be May, let's see here. May 16th, 17th, 18th, Yankee, 4th, 5th, 6th, Citi. Wow, we finally got it. They'll open the season in Houston. And then the home opener will be against Toronto Friday, April 4th. So how about that? We finally get Subway Series. Sorry, just had to announce that. And the Mets will go to Fenway next year. Right after they go to Yankee Stadium, they'll go to Fenway. So we get a Fenway trip. We get a 4th of July Subway Series. I am loving next year's schedule already.
I'm just waiting for when they do the relocation. when
What do you mean
they
the
when they
relocation?
well, when they stop with the absurdity of the National League and American League, and they start putting everybody together, and that's what it'll be.
Yeah, they've
So
cut back the divisional games. It looks like the Mets. It doesn't look like they're playing everyone next year. They're playing the Angels, Angels and Mariners. So Mike Trout, if he ever plays and is healthy, will be at Citi Field in July. The Mariners will come to Citi Field in August. They'll play the Texas Rangers will come to Citi Field in September. So they play the AL West, and they will go to Minnesota. They will go to Boston. They will go to Baltimore. So you get a Camden trip. Mets at Orioles. They will go to Kansas City, and they will go to Detroit. So yeah, there are a couple teams in the East, couple the Central and the West. So yeah, looks like they're playing everyone. But that is
Camden's awesome. So yeah, no, those are sound like really good trips. What I was saying though is I think it's inevitable that what we're going to see is the Mets, Yankees, Boston, Toronto maybe still being up there, all be in the same division. Philadelphia, those 5 teams. And then you get towards the Mid-Atlantic and you start taking those down towards the South. They're gonna restructure the whole thing. You'll see.
That'll be a while if that happens, maybe 10 years. But
no. Listen to Rob Manfred has done more in 8 years than has happened in this game in 150 years. So don't put it past the ability of them to try to really maximize or take a moment where you're still having, two teams that are in the Central basically playing in the West in the American League. Remember the old days of the Atlanta Braves being in the West? I mean, that kind of thing is unbelievable to me that lasted that long. Like they didn't know what the map was like. So I think we're going to see this happen within the next 2 years.
Well, we'll see. I'm not totally against it as long as the Mets win. I'm not against it, and keep winning, and that's what they're doing right now. 67 games to go. They all have 39 games against teams over 500, 28 against teams under 500. They're 26-26 at home, 23-20 on the road. That's something that's big for me, Figgy, in the second half. The Mets have to assert home field advantage. They do all the right things. A new pitcher comes in, they shut the lights, they put on the light show, the Diaz light show, the dance team. They're doing all these cool things. Candelita OMG post-game concert was great. I was the first person they showed after the concert was over. I guess I was styling and profiling in my Starbury sunglasses that I wear at night. Yeah, I mean, they have to assert home field because, if you're going to make the playoffs, especially if they find a way to to beat the Braves out and get that one spot, you want to assert home field dominance. But it starts against the Marlins, like you said, win 3 out of 4, split with the Yankees, and then things get really interesting after that, Figgy. Like the Braves series could be massive. And then the Twins I find interesting because the third game of the series, July 31st, is at 1 p.m. and the trade deadline, isn't the trade deadline like 4 p.m. on July 31st?
Yeah.
It's July 30th this year. Okay, they've moved it up, it looks like a day. July 30th at 6 p.m. So July 31st, 1 p.m., it could be a new-looking Mets roster. So that's weird. So it's before that second game of the series against the Twins. So that'll be interesting. That series is going to be one to watch. Like we said, Tanner Scott, Estevez, you want Chapman, I'll pass on him. Don't forget Sean Reed-Foley is within a week or two of being back. This guy had a 1.63 ERA. Fujinami maybe get his shot. I thought Bryce Metzes would, but he's looked terrible in AAA, so I don't know yet. McNeil, we'll see what happens with him. People have talked about a trade to the Yankees. Fine, ship him there. I will have no problem with that. Cut DJ Stewart, play Iglesias. Get Senga back here against the Braves. That'll be must see. Thursday is pickleball paddle giveaway. I know a lot of older people, my parents, I might have to get them pickleball. They love pickleball, big pickleball players.
Oh, they love pickleball now.
We'll see what that rotation is because everyone's talking about 6-man. Christian Scott doesn't seem like he's going to make it through September with how they're limiting him. So I don't know if 6-man will be the thing. I agree with you. I wouldn't trade guys, but we'll see what it costs to get someone like a Scott. But we agree. Bullpen. You're getting these shots in the dark. It worked with Luis Torrens. It's worked with Jose Iglesias. And that's what David Stearns has really done a great job of, Figgy, is those back-end guys have been contributors. Luis Torrens makes like what I make at the New York Post. Like he literally is like $100,000 what the Mets gave him. And he's worked out great as a backup. They actually just signed right before we started recording a catcher, Logan Porter, to an MLB deal. So I assume he goes to AAA because no real spot for him.
Right.
But a fun time ahead. How about Mark Levine too? Rest in peace to Mark Levine.
Man.
I didn't get to say that. You know, you dealt with him more than I did. Any memories and you want to tribute here? Longtime Mets photographer Mark Levine, who was just a great guy, and everyone has kind things to say about him.
Yeah, you won't find anybody who will say anything bad about him. And you know, a lot of times we say that, and it's cliche. Mark Levine was just a fantastic person, a person who loved his job, loved working with the Mets. You know, to hear him talk about his humble beginnings and the interview process with, you know, with Jay Horowitz, and everything that he's been through with the organization. He's taken some of the most iconic photos. He's also, you know, a guy that would, if you needed to take a photo of anything at the stadium, if I showed up to the stadium and I had, you know, a kid, you know, who I brought to the game and make it a special moment, Mr. Met comes around, Mark would be there in a heartbeat just to take that picture and send it to me. Mark was just such a class act, and just someone who, you know, has survived multiple regimes with the New York Mets, and that, you know, what kind of a special person he is when you're able to survive multiple regimes, because you're very good at your job and you're someone that everyone can get along with and someone that everyone values. So it was a shock. I had just seen him at the Subway Series game the week before, me and Moose, when we were down on the field, and I remember I was driving to work, going to work, and I saw it pop up, and then all of a sudden all the texts messages started rolling in, all the fantasy campers, because we would go to fantasy camp every year and take pictures of these guys. So it was one thing to get your picture taken in fantasy camp wearing a Met uniform. It was another thing to get it taken by the best in the business, which was Mark Levine. And you know, it was very sad day. You know, I had Jay Horowitz on the show, who, you know, recounted a couple of different stories of you know, things that they had been through. How his first day on the job, he was taking the team picture for the 1989 team, and a fight breaks out between Darryl Strawberry and Keith Hernandez. And here he is standing up on a ladder trying to take the picture of everybody supposed to be sitting on, you know, chairs for the photo. And there's a fight that breaks out. He has some of the pictures. The first pictures that he's taken is of you know, fists being thrown back and forth at teammates. He's like, okay, this is day one. What's day two going to hold? So, yeah, it definitely will be missed. It will be missed. You know, we lost Anthony Causey, who is, again, New York Post, very famous sports photographer in New York, you know, gone too soon during COVID, and now Mark Levine. You know, very sad, and our heartfelt prayers go out for his family.
Yeah, a guy I saw, you know, like a week before that happened, and you don't know what these guys are going through. I know it was a heart attack, stress of the job, stress family, whatever was happening, health issues, you don't know about it, and then all of a sudden, boom. So thoughts and prayers, yes, to Mark Levine and the family. This is the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic, at Jake Brown Radio, at Figgy NY. You can catch him 7 to 7:30 p.m. on Pix 11, New York Sports Nation Nightly. Like I said, it begins against the Marlins. Take care of business, and we'll see at the deadline where the Mets are at. They're a game up, and, you know, the teams are all close. D-backs 1 out, Padres 1 out, Pirates 1.5, Reds 3, Giants 3, Cubs 3.5. D-backs will play the Cubs, so they beat up on each other. The Padres have to play Cleveland. The Pirates have to play the Phillies. So the Mets can, you know, take care of business. They could have potentially a 3 or 4 game lead by the time the Subway Series happens. That Subway Series is going to be huge. The Yankees, a team kind of reeling, the Mets on a heater, and we'll see what them meet in the Bronx.
Yeah, if their bullpen, imagine if the bullpen wasn't half-assed and they weren't the second worst ERA in all of baseball during this stretch where they put on such a display with their hitting, scoring 6-7 runs a game. They could literally be 7-8 games above 500 easily. And what a difference that would have made, right? So we'll see. Bullpen gets stronger. They have competition they can play against and do well. And listen, they got to play against the Mets. That's the way I always used to look at it. It's not who you have to play against; they have to play against you. So stand up.
Yeah, and Reed Foley's got to come back and be that guy. Move on from Otto. I know Otto commented on Trevor May's TikTok of saying, "Fix me, Trevor." I felt kind of bad. He's like looking in the TikTok comments for answers. So you feel for him. He's a great veteran leader, guy we spoke to on the field, a New Yorker.
Yep.
But it looks like he looks finished. So you can't keep trying a guy who looks finished. Let's close the show here, Mets Magic, on a positive note. And I have put the lyrics in the chat, the link to the lyrics.
Let's see this.
And, I want you to sing it like he does too. And I'll sing it. You're going to sing OMG in Spanish lyrics. I'm going to sing the American version. I wish we could play the instrumental. That'd be great. We're gonna start by together doing the dance, and then we're just gonna deal with
who's dancing.
We're gonna say on 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you gotta do it. Oh,
you can't even see my hands.
Oh my!
Can't see my hand, dude.
Oh my God!
You can't even see my hand.
All right, so we'll deal with you freezing. We'll do a freezing, and the audio people will hear it, and we'll still have audio. So here we go.
Okay. Hold on. So now I gotta go.
I want you to do your best Candelita voice as well while you do it.
Mira tú.
There we go. 3, 2, 1.
Yep. Oh my God, todo lo malo es solo para allá. Oh my God, dame salud y prosperidad.
Oh my God, throw all the bad away. Oh my God, give me health and prosperity.
There you go. No tengo nada, pero soy feliz. Solo recuerdos habitan en mí. Sueños que construir y yo voy a mí. Puedes que está crazy, pero no lazy. Hasta el hogar voy a seguir.
I have nothing, but I'm happy. Only memories live in me. Dreams to build and I go to me. You may be crazy, but not lazy. Till I achieve it, I will continue. Doesn't make much sense, but I like it.
Oh my God, todo lo malo échalo para allá. Oh my God, dame salud y prosperidad.
Oh my God, throw all the bad away. DJ Stewart, Jeff McNeil. Oh my God, give me health and prosperity. Health in first place. All right, this is pretty long, but it means we'll leave it at that. Let all the planets align for me. Let my wallet not go on a diet anymore. I need my wallet to go on a diet, and I need to go on a diet. Let good luck visit me. Let good luck visit the Mets to help all of my people. Oh my God, throw all the bad away. Oh my God, give me health and prosperity. We must give thanks for one more day of life, for the friends that are few today. Do not do wrong because everything turns around. One day you are down, and the next day, dreams to fulfill, and I go to me. You may be crazy, but not lazy. Until I achieve it, I will continue. Oh, my God, Candelita. May the evil tongue not have a chance. I like that. And may envy not reach me. May time always be my witness, so I do good. That's why I ask you. Oh, my God, fight for your dream because it is possible. Oh, my God, when you can't find the way out, sing with me. Oh, my God, throw all the bad away. Oh, my God, give me health and prosperity. There it is. Boom.
Hey,
it doesn't really translate right, but it is a positive message and a message that has turned this season around for the Mets.
Absolutely. We'll go with that.
All right. What a performance. That is Jay Swizzy featuring Figgy on the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic, 7 to 7:30, Pix 11, Catch Figgy with Mark Malusas. Figgy, it was good to do the monthly check-in with you. And, when we talk in August, we'll see what this team looks like. And let's hope they're buyers. I think, like you said, these next 6 games, you go in 6, this is a different season. So, you mentioned 5 days in Flushing. 5 days can make or break a season. And if you take care of business here, like you said, 4-2, 5-1, you're in good shape. And going to that Braves series as real buyers, that's the weekend is where you start making real calls about, all right, we want this reliever. It's not all going to come July 30th, July 29th.
Right.
It's going to come in that Braves weekend. So that weekend will be interesting. It could be new pieces on the mound. Could be Dioka back. It could be Fujinami getting a shot. So we'll see what the roster looks like. But we have a summer, and the Mets are in the race. And if the season ended today, I hate to say, I always say that, but they'd be in the playoffs. Nelson Figueroa at Figgy NY. Figgy, good to have you on the show.
Great to be on your show again, Jake. Thanks for having me.
All right, Figgy. Amazing but true is over, but the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic, is here, and that wraps up this episode of the show. Take 3 out of 4 against the Marlins, boys. Take care of business. Go into the Subway Series. Can't wait. Yankee Stadium next week. still in that wild card spot. They're only half game behind the Cardinals, too, for the second, 4.5 back of the Braves, who, again, they play for 4 big games next weekend. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic. Make sure to subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that thumbs up. Comment below how you like the show. Guess you want to see what you feel the Mets should do at the deadline. Let me know in the comments. And let me know on Twitter, at Jake Brown Radio, at SickPod Mets. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the Sick Podcast, Mets Magic. See you next week, and let's go Mets.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Mets Magic on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.